The NFL has a history of players going to great lengths to acquire the jersey number of their liking. Players are not above begging, bartering, or even bribing teammates with insane amounts of money in exchange for the number they want. Sometimes it's a superstitious belief in the number. Other times, they've chosen a jersey number because it was the same number worn by a relative, or it is the only number they have had since high school. For some NFL players, no price is too high if it means wearing their beloved number. So sit back and relax while we check out how NFL players get their jersey numbers. Before we get into it, show your support by giving us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ringing that notification bell for future updates. It makes sense that most rookies entering the league have some degree of interest in what his number will be, especially as it directly ties to the legacy they forge in the NFL. Not every pro football player is so stubborn when it comes to number assignment. Most players have no problem being flexible on the issue, but some guys will do nearly anything to get the number they desire. Deion Sanders. While a particular number can be elevated by being on the back of a Hall of Famer, on the other side of that coin, there are just some numbers that are inherently more attractive to players and fans than others.
George has time, and his pass is intercepted.
They're not catching
him. Down the sideline.
Deion
Sanders.
A great example of this is Deion Sanders, when he was playing with 21 adorning his back. He appeared smooth and put together, compared to when he sported the number 37 toward the end of his career with the Ravens. There are limits to how desirable the number 37 can be, but this most likely has to do with Deion already establishing himself in the 21 jersey when he was still dominating the league, while number 37 was never given the benefit of the more dominating version of primetime. Randy Moss. Randy Moss is a player that bucked the trend of star players demanding a specific number. He never had a number that most identified him, yet some say the number Moss looked the best wearing was number 18. The number he wore with the Raiders and had the least amount of success in. Clinton Portis. Some players are willing to pay through the nose to get the jersey number they want, depending on how important that number is to the player currently sporting it on their back. Arrangements can be made if the price is right. Clinton Portis famously forked over $40,000 for the number 26 after he was traded to the Washington Redskins. The stakes of a number. Money is not always what it takes to entice a player to give up his number. There have also been unique exchanges like kitchen remodels, high-end or even all-expense-paid tropical vacations. The fact that there's a market for NFL jersey numbers is the embodiment of the mentality, everything's for sale. It's just a matter of how much someone's willing to pay. It also provides some insight into just how much a particular jersey number can mean to a player. It's not only the rookies that have to contend with the issue of wanting a specific jersey number and having to jump through hoops to acquire it. When a player is traded to another team or signed in free agency by another squad, there is often a superstitious need to carry over the new team the same jersey number they had been wearing. Depending on who the player is, and more importantly, the potentially positive impact he is expected to have on the team, he may be able to demand the number and receive it due to his clout alone. In other cases, he may have to pay a pretty penny or offer up even more valuable items to give up his number. Tom Brady. When Tom Brady was signed to the Bucs, fans everywhere were shocked, but it would have been more shocking if Tom was wearing a number other than the iconic number 12 he had been wearing his entire career. After the number 12 is in the name of his performance center in Boston TB12, and the number is his lifestyle brand. The problem was, Bucs star receiver Chris Godwin was already sporting the number 12. Brady, who has a reputation as being humble, offered to take a different number, but he didn't have to, as Godwin recognized the need to respect the GOAT's legacy and graciously gave up his number. Detailed notes on Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is a prime example of a superstar who found himself on a different team after a storied career on another. When Primetime was signed by the Cowboys in 1995, he wanted to keep the number 21 on his chest, as it had been the entire 5 years he played for Atlanta, and it was the best season of his career on the 49ers in 1994. The only thing standing in Deion's way was fellow cornerback Alundis Bryce, who had already laid claim to number 21. Bryce would not be too easy to win over. And in the end, Sanders had to buy Bryce a brand new BMW M5 at the whopping price of $61,000 to facilitate the deal. Eric Decker. When Eric Decker joined the Jets in 2014, he had already been in the league for half a decade. And while he was an average player at best, seeing the locker rooms of 4 different teams in his 8-year career, he nonetheless had an uncompromising desire to keep his jersey number. When Decker joined the Jets roster tight end, Jeff Cumberland was already in the number 87 jersey that Decker coveted. Cumberland would not just roll over for the journeyman receiver, so Decker was forced to hand over $25,000 and cover the bill for a $600 Wagyu steak dinner to persuade Cumberland to give up the jersey. Donovan McNabb. Not all athletes are as greedy as others, and sometimes instead of opting for personal gratification to give up a jersey number, a player instead decides to go to the charitable route. This was the case when Donovan McNabb was traded to the Vikings in 2011. McNabb, who was already a legend in the league at the time, after success in Philadelphia that spanned over a decade, had always worn the number 5 jersey, but number 5 was already owned by Vikings teammate Chris Kluwe. In an act of charity, Kluwe requested McNabb donate $5,000 to the charity of his choice, which McNabb graciously did. Kluwe did, however, have 2 other requests, one being that McNabb mention his band, Tripping Icarus, in no less than 5 press conferences, and the other request was for McNabb to buy him an ice cream cone. Although McNabb had no problem donating to the charity, which he promptly did, in the end he refused to mention the band and provide the ice cream cone. Darrelle Revis. The next player paid a huge sum of cash to acquire the jersey number he wanted, but as he only played for the team a single season, it seems like a bad investment. In 2013, when Darrelle Revis was traded to the Bucs, he wanted to keep the jersey number 24, as it has been his number for the entirety of his NFL career.
Darrelle Revis, that man is trying to get paid.
I called him 2 days ago the ultimate businessman in the NFL.
Side Bryant leaps up in front of Cromartie, caught it, touchdown Cowboy.
Mark Barron, his fellow Buccaneer teammate, was already donning the number 24, and he had an affinity for that number as well. Barron would not make it easy for Revis, instead being forced to cough up $60,000 to persuade Barron to swap jerseys with him. He may have regretted the decision, though, as he was traded to another squad after a single season in Tampa Bay. Todd Gurley. The last player on this list will quite possibly have the hardest time acquiring his preferred number. Todd Gurley found himself cut from the Rams in 2020, and during his tenure, he had always worn the number 30 on his back, a number he was all but synonymous with during his career in the NFL. Gurley was signed by the Falcons a few months after being cut, but he had a problem if he thinks he'll be able to get his coveted number 30 from Quadri Olison, who already wears 30 in honor of his brother, who was murdered. It seems no amount of money or exotic automobiles will convince Olison to give up the sentimental jersey number, and since Gurley is a guy who just wants a cut from a team, he does not exactly have the clout to demand it. Looks like Todd Gurley will have to settle for another number, at least while he's a Falcon. If you ran the yards on the field in the shoes of the players mentioned, would you go through the expensive hassle of obtaining your favorite jersey number? Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for future updates. Until next time.